Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the last of the Winds of Exchange videos. I've got fancy sleeves on for one such an occasion. It appears last time I forgot to say my usual greeting, so this time you guys are going to get two nicknames. Hope that's okay. So howdy, Crucible competitors, and howdy, Crucible conquerors. Please stay till the end of this video. I have a couple of different announcements for the end of this month and a couple of other things going on. But otherwise, I hope the sleeves come up good on camera. And let's dig into our very last Winds of Exchange deck. Our usually scheduled programming, our bi-weekly stuff, will still be happening. Don't you guys worry. I've come up with a couple of different things that I want to try. Try and squeeze it out of here without revealing anything. So, we will continue to have normal programming. Hope you guys are excited. I know I am. Alrighty, so, starting us off, let's see. Purple Archon, we've got Razechin, the Innkeeper of Asterisms? Asterisms? I don't know what that means, if it isn't made up. Our token creature is, Warrior, very good. It's a 4-power Brobnar creature. So we've got Brobnar, Sanctum, and Saurian. Okay, not bad. Can make for some really interesting combinations. Hopefully we get some good capture between these two houses and some Pax Oriana nonsense. The Archon looks very cool. It's got these 3 markers on the top and the sides, and it seems like some sort of vehicle, I would assume, but very, very cool. Okay, well, give me one moment and we will get to the card reveal. Alrighty, here now with the card reveal. Here's a closer look at that Archon, actually. Hold it up, make sure it covers the screen. And I know I already said it, but make sure to stay till the end. I've got a couple of different announcements kind of for the channel and stuff. You can also skip ahead if you feel so inclined. So we set aside our deck list. Here's our token creature, one of the very, very good token creatures from Brobnar. 4-power creature. It's a giant warrior, and it says, Warrior cannot reap unless there are no enemy creatures in play. So, very negative downside, but creature control is so important in the current meta that the payoff for it is typically very great, especially if you have like ready and fight effects, or a way to clear the board and then just reap out and not have to worry about that side effect very much. Let's get into the reveal here. So we're starting in Saurian. It looks like we actually have one of the special card combinations right out the gate. So we've got Charybdis, it's a 7-power creature here, and it says enemy creatures gain before fight, lose 1 amber. Some decent amber control, especially if we have a way to protect it. That also means that in our rare slot in Saurian, if we didn't get multiple rare cards, we should have Scylla, which is another creature with I believe, a effect that says each enemy creature gains after reap deal 4 damage to itself. But we'll see that when it comes up. Ooh, fantastic. We've got Praetor Marius here. 5-power creature is enhanced with a bonus damage, and it reads, after reap, for each exhausted creature to Praetor Marius's left, capture 1 amber. This is very, very good effect, especially if we have a lot of token making in Saurian. Just a way to load up exhausted creatures to the left of it. Can be very, very cool. Oh, and then we've got Longosaurus Lector, so here's some of that token making. 6-power creature with play after reap. You may exalt Longosaurus Lector. If you do, make a token creature. 2 of those, not bad. Oh, and then we have Legionary Trainer. Wow, we've got a lot of token making in Saurian already. Is that 3 cards? So I wonder how much we'll have in Brobnar to have chosen a Brobnar token creature. 2-power creature, play, make a token creature, and it says each friendly token creature enters play ready. Legionary Trainer is very good. It is well known for being a part of the Scholar decks. You'll see Scholar on the screen. Scholar is one of the more important token creatures just because there's a whole kind of archetype built around it that was actually mentioned in GG's most recent article. So very, very cool. Oh, 2 of those. Wow, okay. Oh, and then Faust the Great, very good in combination with the capture from Praetor Marius and the exalting from Longosaurus Lectors. It's a 4-power creature. Your opponent's keys cost +1 amber for each friendly creature with amber on it. Play, you may exalt a friendly creature. Not bad. Bore the Ides is some okay creature control. It's an action with an amber pip. Play, deal 23 damage to a creature in the center of its controller's battle line. Oh, and then Arm the Plebeians. Wow, how did we not get a Saurian token creature? This is interesting. Okay. It's an action, and it's got an amber pip, and it says play, make a token creature, and ward it. Very good. And then Inspiring Oration. Holy cow. It's an action with an amber pip. Play, exalt a friendly creature, make a token creature for each amber on that creature. Oh, and then Imperator Drusillus, 4-power creature with 3 armor, and is enhanced with a damage pip. Play, destroy another friendly creature. While there are more enemy creatures than friendly creatures, Imperator Drusilla gains splash attack 4. Very good board control. And then here is Scylla. Yep, 7-power creature. Each enemy creature gains after reap, deal 4 damage to this creature. Very, very cool. If you have decent creature control, or rather creature protection, then these guys can really wreak some havoc. It kind of can lock down the opponent's board. Most of the time, if you're playing in a competitive scenario, they'll have actions that can deal with it, just because of how many creature control-based actions there are. But they are nothing to scoff at, and I prefer them to something like Hastus Raptors for sure. Okay, and that is the remainder of our Saurian. Moving on now to Sanctum. We've got the creature, the Grey Rider here, 2 power with deploy. Play, after fight, after reap, you may ready and fight with a neighboring creature. If we get 2 of these guys and the opponent has nothing on their board, you can actually loop readying them and reaping with them for a pretty easy rule of 6. And we did get 2. Okay, that'd be a nice feature of this deck. Then we've got Pandolf the Provoker here, a 4-power, a 2 armor creature with taunt and play and rage an enemy creature. This can be very good for protecting Scylla or Charybdis. Ooh, outflank, some decent amber control. We were looking for a bit more of that. It's an action with an amber pip. Play, each Sanctum flank creature captures 2 amber from its opponent. 2 of those, this one enhanced with a damage. We've got a lot of enhanced damage pips. I wonder if we have a Valve Blood in Brobnar or something. Same effect, very good capture. Ostentatious Mount, very nice. It's an upgrade with an amber pip, and it says play, move this creature anywhere in its controller's battle line. This creature gains taunt. Shall the Safeguard, a lot of creature protection in Sanctum. Okay, this could be really good. 4 power, 2 armor with deploy and taunt. Ooh, Celestial Gorm, some good artifact control. It is an artifact itself with an amber pip. Omni, destroy Celestial Gorm, return each other artifact to its owner's hand. Lightbringer Outpost. You like to see a lot of artifacts in Sanctum with Celestial Gorm, because if you can use them first and then use Celestial Gorm, you can replay them and then get that amber pip again. So awesome, glad to see Lightbringer Outpost here. And I don't think we had any artifacts in Saurian. But it's an artifact with an amber pip action. Put a friendly creature on the bottom of its owner's deck. If you do, a friendly creature captures 3 amber. Very good. Ooh, and then Hadroth's Wall. Doesn't have an amber pip, so it doesn't benefit from what I just said, but still very good to have, especially if we'll be fighting a lot. Then we have the Almsmaster, 4 power, 1 armor creature with deploy and taunt. And play, each of Almsmaster's neighbors captures 1. Ooh, okay, and then Honorable Claim. It's got an amber pip on it, it's an action, and it reads, play, each friendly knight creature captures 1. I don't think we had very many knights in here, but still, more capture is good. We have to hope we have something like a Rant and Rive in this Brobnar, because it seems like a lot of our, our amber control is actually capturing. So we need a way to make them lose it other than just Charybdis. It looks like this is where some of our damage pips came from. We've got Rowdy Skuld here, 4 power creature that enhances 1 amber and 2 damage into the deck. Don't believe we've seen the amber there yet. Rant and Rife, I was just talking about it. Here it is. It's an action with an amber pip. Play. If your opponent has 8 or more, they lose half their amber, rounding down the loss. Ooh, and then Pound, some more creature control. That's good. An action with an amber pip. Play. Deal 2 damage to a creature with 1 splash. 2 of those. Ooh, Fire Spitter. Very good if we can get a Shock Herder. It's 5 power, 1 armor creature with before fight. Deal 1 damage to each enemy creature. Krog the Clumsy. Some more good creature control. 7 power with splash attack 2. A Berserker Slam. This is a good way to make our opponent lose Amber. It's an action with an Amber Pip. Play. Deal 4 damage to a flank creature. If this damage destroys that creature, its controller loses 1 Amber. We do have a Vow of Blood. Okay. It's an... Oh, goodness me. A little bit of a spoiler there. Sorry about that. Vow of Blood is an action with an Amber Pip and enhances 2 damage into the deck, and it says play, deal 2 damage to each damaged enemy creature. Not bad. Hebe the Huge, a great way to proc Vow of Blood. 6 power creature with play, deal 2 damage to each other undamaged creature. Here's that enhanced Amber Pip. We've got Feats of Strength here. It's an action with an Amber, enhanced with an Amber. Play, for the remainder of the turn, each time an enemy creature is destroyed in a fight, make a token creature. Great with warriors, because we can just keep fighting and producing them. If we have a legionary trainer, this could be very, very good, because it could just keep going. But now that I'm in it, I'm not seeing a whole lot of token creating. I don't know why we got warrior over a Saurian creature, but it seems very interesting, especially with the way this deck is built. And then we've got Earthshaker here. We've got 1 card after it. It is a 7 power creature enhanced with a damage, and it says play, destroy each creature with power 3 or lower. We'll have to go back through and see what that is. I know our legionary trainers are, and our Grey Riders are, but that might be it as far as our low power creatures. Or I guess 3 or less, because even our warriors are higher power than that. Very good to see. Oh, and then Harmel Attune. Okay, wow, yeah. So, if we can keep a legionary trainer on the board through some form of creature protection, and then do our feats of strength with a Harmel Attune on the board, we can keep making warriors that fight and destroy the board, and then make more tokens, and then they return to hand, so if it's a Brobnar creature, I can play it. Wow, okay. Very, very cool. A super, super good Brobnar rare. That is our last card. Okay. This deck seems very, very interesting. I think the SAS for it is going to be super high, if I may make a prediction. But I think that in practice, this deck can really outperform. I don't know how the Amber generation is, but there are so many neat combos in it that if you can really pull them off, things can get really out of hand fast. Okay, yeah. Let me get this all sorted, and then we will be back with the deck breakdown. See you in just a sec. Alrighty, we're here now with the deck breakdown. It's all of our usual piles, the token creature on display, Amber control, expected Amber, artifact control, creature control, and then token making that didn't fit into another category. One honorable mention that didn't show up that is super important to the deck, I feel, that I do want to just go ahead and show off, is Harmel Attune. Didn't fit into any of these categories per se, but his general effect is just super, super cool and super important. So I wanted to show him off before we started digging into things. There is our SAS score. We're looking at 79, which is pretty good. These last couple decks have been very high, in the 70s, so I am far from disappointed. We got a -1 in anti-synergy. That's mostly from, we have, what was it? We had 2 outflanks, but only 5 Sanctum creatures in total. And then we have a high creature count, which can play against Hebe the Huge or Earthshaker in some instances. But the only creatures affected by Earthshaker are the Legionary Trainers and the Grey Riders, which they're important creatures for sure, but I think we can play around that okay, and just not play Earthshaker, hold on to it, or what have you. And then Imperator Drusillus had some anti-synergy because of our creature count. I'm not 100% sure why. I did have the opportunity to play a game with this deck in between the last scene and this one, and every time I played Imperator Drusillus, I often just killed one of the Longosaurus Lectors. Like I would exalt one to make a warrior, and the other one I wouldn't exalt and then would just kill. So, or, you know, I didn't have this instance, but if Harmalatun is in play, it's fine to exalt the Longosaurus Lector and then kill, you know, one of the warriors to return it to your hand. Maybe it's a Saurian card. But there's a lot of versatility in the deck, it seems. So, 79 feels really good. And then there are extras and counts. We got 16 bonus amber, which is great. It's 2 off from my typical goal, though it is, that typical goal is honestly unreachable by most decks, but it is still something to strive for. 16 is really good. We did have 1 scaling amber control card, Rant and Rive, which is going to be very important with this deck, as it is one of the main ways to make the opponent lose amber. We did have 1 board wipe in Earthshaker. Then we had 12 action cards, which is about 1 or 2 below average, 20 creatures, which is above average, 3 artifacts, 1 upgrade, and then our token generation score is 11. So in 1 pass through the deck, we should be able to make 11 warriors, which is a good number. Let's clear those away. One thing I want to discuss before I show the amber and control section, I did look up Asterisms, because the name of the deck is the Razechin, the Innkeeper of Asterisms. Asterisms are a cluster of stars that are not a constellation. So something like the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, those are a part of, or at least the Big Dipper is a part of Ursa Major. And Ursa Major is a constellation. The Big Dipper is called an asterism. So something that I learned thanks to this random KeyForge card. Innkeeper is in quotes, so I'd assume Razechin is some kind of caretaker for an asterism, or for asterisms as a whole. It's very prophetic, isn't the word, but very like grandiose a title. But I wanted to share that as it's a little something I learned. Okay, we're looking at our amber and control section now. So we've got a 9 in amber control, not too high, but not bad. 22 in expected amber, which is pretty great. Our artifact control is just the Celestial Gorm, and then 14 creature control, which is also pretty good. So let's get into the individual card breakdowns here. This is our amber control section. We've got Charybdis with the after fight lose 1. Then we got our Alms Master here for capturing. Berserker Slam to make the opponent lose 1. Outflank for capturing, outflank for capturing. Praetor Marius for more capturing, Lightbringer Outpost for more capturing, Honorable Claim for more capturing, Faust the Great to increase key cost. Faust the Great I didn't mention, but would also be very important in the deck. What's difficult about Faust the Great is the fact that creature control is very important in the current meta. It's something that's looked at very highly. Your ability to control the board state can affect how the game plays out, especially with more recent KeyForge expansions. So Faust the Great often will get killed before it matters, but if I can charge the opponent a very expensive key through all this capturing with Faust the Great will be one of the more important, if not most important, more important, because we have got Rant and Rive coming up, but one of the more important cards just because it gets rid of Amber. Or it can hold them off for Rant and Rive, which is here. Obviously our most important card. If there is a way to Harmalatun it back to hand if it gets tokenized, that is like the #1 priority. But it is very, very good. Very good card. Set those aside. Expected Amber here. There isn't a whole lot. A lot of our expected Amber is from the bonus pips. Rowdy Scald is here because it enhanced an Amber pip into the deck. I just think that's a little bit more valuable than the 2 damage pips that it enhances, though they are very good, especially with Valve Blood in the deck. And these next 2 cards were something that I just wanted to talk about. They were placed at the top of expected Amber as 1 expected Amber each, but I don't have a Saurian token, so I'm not sure if maybe that was an accident or something. I suppose I could make a warrior on a Brobnar turn with feats of strength and then reap with them at the end, but there's a lot of contingencies that go into that before it's like a guaranteed Amber. So I think maybe without a Saurian token creature, this expected Amber should be rated at like 0.25, but they were in there, so I figured I would show them off and just talk about it. Then, of course, we have our Celestial Gorm here. Very, very good. The only artifacts are Sanctum, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, so there will never really be a huge detriment to this, just because anytime I use Celestial Gorm, unless it is a non-Sanctum turn, which would still, be a detriment to me. But if it's a Sanctum turn, I will get the artifacts and replay them. So ideally, I'm doing that on a Sanctum turn. But if it is important enough to do it out of turn, I think the cost there is worth it. Then we're on to our creature control, starting with Pandolf for the Enrage. Beware the Ides, which can be very tricky. If your opponent has an even number of creatures and doesn't have one directly in the center, and you do have one in the center, you have to target your own creature with this card, which can be pretty dangerous. Imperator Drusilla is not bad. That damage pip is pretty good coming in and hitting somebody. Pound is some good splash damage. Grey Rider is great. In my second game, actually, of playing this deck, I was able to roll of 6 my Grey Rider, and that's right when my opponent conceded. So it is very, very strong, especially if you can Hadros Wall and the number of taunt creatures in this deck to keep them safe, and force them to, fight away your opponent's creatures to create a board state in which you can use them. It is very, very cool. And there's just enough creature control in this deck, I feel, that it is far from impossible to get this going. You probably get it going pretty easy. Fire Spitter, great in tandem with Vow of Blood. Krog the Clumsy. We were missing, unfortunately, the ready effect from like a Shock Herder or something, but I think that just because of Earthshaker and because of the way that the boards shape out, it's okay. These guys are pretty big and great at fighting. Vow of Blood, super, super good card, especially since we have Hebe the Huge and a couple other damage spreading cards with Pounds, and push comes to shove if we can't kill with Berserker Slam. And then, of course, Earthshaker in this deck got enhanced with a damage, so we could damage a creature that is above 3 power, and then Vow of Blood it. There's a lot of ways to spread that around. Here is Hebe the Huge. Scylla for that after reap deal 4. Very, very good. In one of my games, the opponent had to, basically. I had Scylla and Charybdis under taunt, and they didn't have a great way to get rid of them. And they just needed Amber, so they reaped with like 3 or 4 creatures, and they all died. And here's that Earthshaker for the 1 damage pip, and then, of course, the 3 or lower. So Earthshaker, very, very good in this deck, just because there isn't very many creatures that would be affected. And if we have Hadroth's Wall in play and we can position it so that one of those creatures, like Legionary Trainer or the Grey Rider, is on a flank, they would also be unaffected by Earthshaker. So that could be good, just to save one creature in dire straits. Then we have our tokens here. We got Arm the Plebeians, make a token ward it, 2 Longosaurus Lectors, Inspiring Oration, and then Feats of Strength. So I don't know why the algorithm ended up picking Warrior here. We had way more token making in Saurian, just flat out, I think. Especially with the 2 Legionary Trainers in addition to this. So I'm surprised we ended up with Warrior. I don't hate it. It works into the Feats of Strength thing very well. I was able to actually pull off a Feats of Strength with Harmolatoon and Legionary Trainer in play. So I was able to just fight the warriors into higher power creatures, kill the warrior, and then once it did eventually kill whatever creature, return the warrior to the hand. Once they did kill a creature, they would make a warrior was ready, could keep fighting. So it created a cycle of, while there was a lot of decisions that had to be made, it was pretty easy to wipe a board and then end up with a good number of reap effects. Or rather reaps, not reap effects, just gaining amber. Which at the end of that turn, I had started it at probably about 5 amber, and I ended it at about 13. So with Feats of Strength giving 2 pips and all the reaping and stuff, it can come out pretty clutch. I ended up winning that game pretty handedly. And then we've got one more section here with our speed and board. So 0 efficiency, nothing in this deck breeds efficiency. As far as recursion goes, Harmolatoon is the big one. Lightbringer Outpost is in there, but Harmolatoon is the most important recursion and can be very, very effective. As far as disruption goes, we're looking at Celestial Gorm. And then our effective power is huge. We've got a bunch of high power creatures. Our warrior itself is huge. Charybdis, Scylla, Pandolf, Shao, Krog the Clumsy, all of those rated about 7 power. And then 2 Longosaurus Lectors and Fire Spitter rated at 6. Our board, our effective power is just absolutely massive. Our creatures have huge staying power. In addition, we have a great number of creature protection. 3 is actually pretty high for creature protection, with Hadrot's Wall, Charybdis, Ostentatious Mount, Pandolf, Shao the Safeguard, Almsmaster. It is just, we have a lot of ways to keep things safe, which is great for our Grey Riders and our Scylla and Charybdis. And then other board affecting things are Inspiring Oration, I assume just because it exalts and then also can put out a pretty insane number of token creatures from that exalt, especially if I was able to Praetor Marius first. So, although I'm not sure that you would always want that, I'm trying to think. You probably want to Inspiring Oration first in certain scenarios, because that can lead to a higher capture for Praetor Marius, as long as there isn't a Legionary Trainer in play. So a lot of thinking involved in this deck, but it was super fun to play, and it was very, very interesting. The combos, when they click into place, feel phenomenal, and then just the ability to build out such a massive board and kind of keep it there in place is very, very good. So even if the creature control isn't super high, that can kind of supersede it with the ability to consistently fight and do some pretty crazy stuff with, you know, keeping the board around. Clear that away. So, as for the announcements, there's a couple of things. One, thank you guys for staying through the whole of the Winds of Exchange display. It was super fun. Glad we got to knock out 12 more decks. I'm excited to make more. The big thing is that as of the episode 2 weeks from when this goes live, so it would be, I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it should be either the 30th or the 31st of January. That is going to be 1 year of me making AndyForge videos consistently. No breaks. You know, every 2 weeks you guys have gotten a video with extra videos in between and extra shorts for a full year. So I'm excited to celebrate that with you. The next video coming out will be a celebration of that. We'll review some stats. We'll talk about some stuff. I want to show off some things. So I'm super, super, super pumped. So keep an eye out for that video. In tandem with that, throughout the last year, I don't know how many of you guys have noticed. I haven't seen any comments about it, but KeyForge isn't huge, so I don't get a whole lot of comments as is. But every deck opening video, except for the last one on accident, which I said at the beginning, I've called you guys something different. It's been Crucible, something that starts with a C. And so while I love being that creative, I also kind of want to have a more official name, something to call you guys. So there will be a sort of call to action in that video where I will upload a vote. So keep your eyes out for that, as well as get excited. There may or may not be some new profile picture banner stuff going on. I mean, there's a lot that I'm celebrating in this, and a lot to look forward to. So I am very, very excited. Thank you guys so much. A whole year of AndyForge is awesome, and I've grown a lot in this year. At least I feel like I have. You know, I'm coming up on 200 subscribers if I can hit that marker, and that would be big for KeyForge, I feel. So thank you so much. I'm gonna give you guys one last nickname. As for the future, you will eventually have a official one that I can call you guys, and when we run into each other in person, you know, you'll have the this group to belong to, as opposed to just Crucible anything. But you'll see how that vote goes. Thank you for a full year, and farewell, my Crucible caretakers. Have a phenomenal rest of your week and days in between now and when I talk to you again. And remember, the most important part of KeyForge is the friend sitting across the table. Have a good one.